This is my living room stereo. This is where I like to spend most of my time, sat on this little wicker perch, listening to my speakers and my old stereo that kind of needs to be cleaned and replaced, and listening to tapes and staring at my beautiful artwork, and really just listening to music on my turntable. And here's what I want to do today. On the left is my Genesis Phil Collins, and on the right is everything else. And slowly that everything else has been getting smaller, and the left side has been getting bigger. So I thought I would do a video today because this is literally what I do every single day as I sit here on this stool and look at these records and pick a record. And my wife suggested that I start an OnlyFans for my Genesis and Phil Collins collection, but instead I thought I would just make today's video and show you everything in my collection. Okay, so we're going to start with some of the, this section here would be like non-Genesis, non-Phil Collins. So this would be Brand X, Peter Gabriel. I don't have any Steve Hackett, which we'll talk about, Tony Banks, Mike, whatever. Okay, so let's go. This is my favorite album cover ever. Not ever, but I just love it for some reason. And you know what's so cool about this, by the way? This is like kind of a common design with this like white space here. And this looks a lot like the new Taylor or the latest Taylor Swift record, Midnights. Isn't that kind of interesting? Maybe I'll throw up a clip of it. Anyway, this is the one of the Brand X records that doesn't have Phil Collins on it. I believe. But I don't know. I feel like with Brand X, man, I don't know. I like them and everything, but I also find them a little bit of a challenge to listen to just because it's super aggressive oftentimes. I do like Product. I have that on tape. I don't have that on vinyl, so that's something I'm looking for. This is Unorthodox Behavior. Brand X, I got this last year. This was a really nice find. This is, I find, the most enjoyable to listen to, this album, like the most accessible. Moroccan Roll is another one I got recently. This is a really great one, but I also find it sometimes gets a little chaotic and stuff. So which one? It's Product that has that song that he wrote that he does a lot, right? And Soda F. Anyway, I have that on tape, and I'll look for it. Actually, I want to really want to get that that one that Bill Smith designed. Is There Anything Now, or whatever that's called? So then this is the new Peter Gabriel, Bright Side. I have it in a package so that I can keep the Obi strip on it. Yeah, so that's a pretty good one. I listened to that a lot when it came out. It's 4 sides. This is one of my cherished items in my collection, Shaking the Tree, which is Peter Gabriel's greatest hits. Doesn't have as many songs as the tape version or the CD version, but it has Salisbury Hill, I Don't Remember, Red Rain. Actually, it doesn't have Red Rain. That's one of the songs that was cut. Biko. Anyway, Mercy Street, which is my favorite Peter Gabriel song. So this was a hard record to find. That's why it's so beat up. But so if I ever find a good version of it, I'm going to get it. But it's one of my favorites in my collection because I am a Peter Gabriel fan of the hits. You know, I know that some of you would scoff at that, and I'm doing a better job to get into him more. This is my copy of So. I actually need to get another copy of this. I like having 2 copies of things. I like having like 2 pressings, like either a modern, like a new issue and the original, or like a sort of like the original and then like a rough shape copy, whatever. Is this in proper order? This is not in proper order. So this is number 3, I think, Melt, or maybe, yeah, number 3, I believe. This is the Intruder one with Phil Collins and the drum sound. So that's in good shape. They're not hard to find. I just got this recently. You'll see it in the video. Scratch. And this is in really rough shape, but it is an original pressing because it has that locked groove on side A after White Shadow. It's just really nice. It's a really good record, Scratch. I really, really like this record. And I'll tell you what, Peter Gabriel stuff, I'm just getting into slower than everything else. So this is Car. This is probably one of my favorite album covers as well, of all time. Just the turquoise color of the raindrops. It's so beautiful. And that Peter is there, but so subtle. I absolutely adore this record. Well, actually, I adore the cover. I find the record to be like not easy to listen to. This is relatively new in my collection. Wise After the Event from Anthony Phillips. I'm a big Anthony Phillips fan. And I'm getting more of his records. I just saw Private Parts at a record store, but I was out of money. Geese and the Ghost. I mean, everybody needs to own this record. This is such a good record. I love this record. Geese and the Ghost, Anthony Phillips. Beautiful singing from Phil Collins on there. Speaking of Phil Collins, here's Daryl's record. This was like a Discogs find. I've never seen this in the wild. This has an instrumental version of I Don't Want to Know. This is a really good record. If you like kind of 80s rock, this is a great record. Funny liner notes from Phil Collins as well. My records are sliding down here. The Fugitive, also designed by Bill Smith. Not crazy about this record. This is a promotional copy from Warner Music Canada. Anyway, let me know if you what you think about this record. I find The Fugitive a hard listen. I just not a huge fan. I am a huge fan of this. I really do like this, and I need to, Curious Feeling, and I need to listen to it more. And, you know, that's the story with a lot of my records is like when you give a record a chance and you put it on, and that's why I love vinyl, because digital, it's like you walk away or you're working on something. Whereas vinyl is a little bit more intentional. You're actually listening to it. So that's what I really like about vinyl. Here's Philip Bailey. Speaking of which, Chinese Wall, like this album, Easy Lover is not even in my top 5 songs on this album. So a lot of people would judge this record because of Easy Lover, but I think I Go Crazy, Chinese Wall, Photogenic Memory, like there's some really, really beautiful, Show You the Way to Love. It's a really beautiful record. A really beautiful, it's a really, really good 80s pop record, and it gets overshadowed by Easy Lover. So I like this. It's a gym, something I listen to at the gym, which means I never listen to it. Mike and the Mechanics, of course. I am trying to improve my mic collection. I would love to find Word of Mouth on vinyl, and I'd love to get Living Years. I've come across Living Years. This was a gift from one of you, Sean, who sent me this along with the No Son of Mine thing, which I'll show you shortly. But this is an interview disc, and it has the questions that a radio station could pretend that they are asking the questions. It's really, really cool. I've done a video about this before, so Mike on Mike. And apparently there's a Phil on Phil. This is another record like the Geese and the Ghost that a lot of people need to have in their collection if they don't already. Small Creeps Day, which is Mike's first solo record before he attempted to sing and before he created a band called the Mechanics. So this is like, artwork is horrible. This is when Hypnosis were like not trying anymore. I don't know. By the way, this was interesting because they used the same font as they did in the same back design as they did on Peter's album. So I wonder if that's intentional, but that's the same font that Peter uses on all of his records, or for most of his records. Okay, so that's the solo collection stuff. Listen, this is the part that I'm adding to ever so slowly. I'm adding more and more pieces. I obviously need more from Mike and the Mechanics. There's a couple more Peters I need. You notice I don't have any Steve. I want more Anthony Phillips. Steve is tough because it's like there's so much to get, right? And I find that to be hard because it's like, where do you start? And am I a completist? Am I a completist with Peter stuff? Like, am I gonna get all the newer records, like the expensive ones, like what is it called, Blood, or I don't know. All the new ones are like really expensive. Okay, so here's my bootlegs. This is one of my things I'm most proud of. And also, not all of these, I would say half of these were gifts from viewers. So let me move this over so you can see this here. So this is Genesis Live. We have 2 of these. So this is one that my friend George gave me. This is Abacab era. So we have Dodo, we have Whodunit. I can't remember what this sounds like. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I think it's an audience recording. It's funny because on the back, it's like recorded live, mixed and remixed at 5 Star Studios, engineered and mastered at Electric Lady Recording Studios in New York City. So you kind of think that, oh my gosh, this is going to sound amazing. It doesn't sound amazing. That's the lovely thing about bootlegs, is that it's like fraud, like they lie to you. And there's no way that this was mixed and mastered at Electric Lady. It's funny. So this is Eat Your Supper, which is the same one, but this is from George, and I apologize if there's glare. And this is still sealed, again from Australia, from my friend George. And this is a colored vinyl, allegedly. I have never seen it before because it's sealed. And this is the same record that I just showed you. So I'm not opening it because I have it unsealed. So that's nice. This is also sealed, and this is Gabriel, right? This is the actual audience recordings and some board maybe mixes, various stuff from the reunion in 1982. And I haven't opened this yet either because I have the rehearsal, which I'll show you, the rehearsal recording. And I don't know. I've heard that the recording quality isn't very good. And I believe, is this colored vinyl? I don't know. Again, I wouldn't know. Maybe I'll get an X-ray machine and find out. So yeah, anyway, that's a beautiful one. That's again a gift from George. This record here is White Mountain. This is one of my favorites because it was one of my first bootlegs. Honestly, I bought my first, I'll show you the first bootlegs I ever got. And this was one of them. I think I got 3 in the same day. And this is a beautiful 1976 tour. So like really, at the start of everything, this has Bill Bruford on percussion. And when was this recorded? We don't really know, I don't think. I mean, I'm sure some of you know out there. But yeah, it's really good. And the sound quality is really good. That's one of my favorites. And you'll see a lot of those out in, I think, yellow and green and blue. And again, I think, it's the character of the bootlegs that I love so much. It's like, this is like, it's all white. It's printed on a photocopy paper, black and white. So it's, and you see this, if you follow any bootleg forums, you see that Zeppelin, The Who, the Beatles all have this type of stuff. And then the logo, obviously there's no Genesis information on the label because that maybe they'd get caught at the plants or something. So I love I just love the rogueness of bootlegs. Skywatchers, some of you would be kind of excited to see this. This is the company called The Amazing Corny Phone, who does really good bootlegs. This is a beautiful bootleg recorded live at the Roxy Theater in Los Angeles, December 19th, 1973. One of the final night's performances of that tour. Remember, they played an extended couple of nights there in their first tour to LA. Really special recording. It sounds beautiful. Peter's stories are intact. The playlist here, or the set list on a track list, would be Watcher of the Skies, Skies spelt wrong, hilarious. Dancing Out with the Moonlit Night. Again, people are just listening. Bootleggers just listen to the music and guess what the song titles are. It's one of my favorite things they do. I Know What I Like, Cinema Show, Firth of Fifth, Musical Box, Horizon, Supper's Ready, recorded at the Roxy, December 19th. So one of my favorite records. I got this for $50 Canadian. It would find at a record. I think it's on I have a video of it from a few years ago. I think the history of that run of shows at the Roxy is great to have that recording, and it sounds beautiful. This does not sound beautiful. This is Swelled and Spent from the Lamb tour. I don't remember where this was recorded. This is an audience recording. The way I describe this personal copy here, the way I describe this recording is like, imagine somebody's at a show in like the 1970s, and they're at the very back of the room listening to Genesis perform. And they call their friend. They pick up the phone at the very back at the bar, and they call their friend. And then that friend puts a tape recorder up to the receiver of the phone from 1970 and records that recording. That's what this sounds like. So if that's your thing, audience recordings through a telephone, but I love the artwork of that. So I was okay to spend $40 on it. I think it's cool. This is something else George sent me. These are 2. This is Genesis at the Marquee Club in 1982. So more Abacab tour stuff. And let's see if I can show you the track listing there. Can you see that okay? I know it's a bit of a glare. So yeah, part 1 and part 2. This is really cool. Different photos. These are done really well. They still have the cellophane on them, but I've listened to them. And the music sounds good. Like I can't remember. I apologize. Like if you want to know what the sound recording is, you'll have to go check on Discogs and stuff. And I can't play any clips because even of the bootlegs, I just don't want to get in trouble with Tony Smith if I play any of the real music here. So you're not going to hear any music today. Just showing you the records. Although I did get an email recently and a very kind reply from Tony Smith declining an interview, but really he was very sweet. Genesis in concert. This was my very first bootleg. I showed you that White Mountain one, but this was my very first bootleg. And I told you the story before, going into a record store about 3 or 4 years ago. And I did not know, I'm a big Genesis fan and I'm a big fan of vinyl, but I did not know, and I'm a big fan of their live stuff too, because it's kind of like greatest hits at the time. I did not know that bootlegs existed. I was just kind of new to the collecting world. And so this was a surprise. I was like, what is this? And this is good. This is soundboard quality. There's a bit of Peter Gabriel stuff in here. Mostly this is from 1980, but there are a few tracks from the 1975 British tour. And so this is a very lovely record. And again, that was the very first time I ever got a bootleg. And then I caught the bug. Let me just show you one other bootleg that I got at the same time. This is a Genesis A Living Story. So this is now, I believe, with Chester, right? I think this is 76, 77. Yeah, because it would have been after the after Wind and Wuthering. Look at the title here. So we have Dragonfly Records presents Sounds of the 60s, a musical documentary. So if this is running off the press, you're not going to be like, oh, that's a Genesis bootleg, I should alert the authorities. You're like, oh, that's so cool. And so this is Big Thumb Records. You guys, I know you've seen this before. These are very common. And also, I believe it was Des who sent me this book here that has a lot of these records that I'm showing you, which is so cool. It has some of the bootlegs, and because of the lovely people in our audience who've supported the channel and sent me some of these records, I'm really rounding out my collection, and I cherish them more than anything. I absolutely love the bootlegs. They're so unique. They're so special. Do they sound good all the time? No. There's a picture of the Living Story and White Mountain, which I showed you. Do they sound amazing? No, but they're funny. They're crazy. They've got a great story to them. Anyway, that's what I love. I love bootlegs for that. And I'm very grateful for everyone who's sending me their bootlegs. And I've caught the bug. It's a very bad bug to have because it's very expensive. I found this. This is one of 3. This is volume 1, I believe, the rarest live. And it is another bootleg. And it's a kind of a mix. And actually, a lot of these songs ended up on the BBC box set. We have White Mountain from Cleveland in 76. We have Stagnation from the BBC Sound of the 70s. We have Get 'Em Up by Friday from John Peel. Twilight Alehouse from John Peel. Some Montreal. The side 2 is all from Montreal as well. And it's Peter Gabriel stuff. So yeah, it's like a really interesting kind of compilation. And again, I think there's a blue and red one that are out there, if I'm not mistaken. And I got this for a good deal, and I would love to find the others. Yeah. Here's another one that George sent me, and it's another Abacab era. And I'm a huge fan of this one because the sound is brutal, but the artwork is great. And I feel like George gave this to me intentionally because it looks Canadian. It's an elk on the front. And look, there's it 392 of 500. And again, that's special, right? Handwritten, but like it's a bootleg. So they lied about manufacturing these. So maybe they're lying about how many they made. I've heard that to be the case. And I love, like, again, the photocopy and the track listing we have here. Applause, Behind the Lines, Duchess, I believe that's spelt wrong. Applause, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. Applause. Each applause gets its own track, I guess. Phil Speaks German, Dodo, Abacab, Applause. Somebody yells, Supper's Ready. Phil Speaks German, Man on the Corner, Who Done It. This is a really beautiful record. I picked this one up myself, and this is kind of unique in the sense that it comes from the Duke era, but it features a lot of tracks from And Then There Were Three, which we don't have that many bootlegs from And Then There Were Three. Like I've said before on the channel, the bootleg eras that we miss the most is Invisible Touch, We Can't Dance, obviously, but also Shapes, and then There Were Three. For some reason, there's a ton of Duke and Abacab. So this is Duke era, but we get stuff like The Knife, and we get Deep in the Motherlode, which is I really cherish. Follow You, Follow Me, I love that song. And The Lady Lies, and Burning Rope. And what's kind of interesting about this bootleg is it's slow. It was recorded on a 90-minute cassette. Somebody has created this note on how to put it to a 90-minute cassette. It's also kind of interesting because disc 1, side A, then you flip it over. You got to go to disc 2, side B. I think it's like that DJ thing if you want to have a kind of a consistent playing. If you're going to tape it, put it to tape so that you can kind of continue to do it and keep the tape running. Very cool. If you have two turntables. This is 1980 and 1978. There's two different shows or songs from two different shows. Anyway, it's great to have Deep in the Motherlode on vinyl, but live on vinyl. The problem is that the tape was played slow. So whatever tape they used and then they pressed from that, it's a bit slow. So Phil's voice is very deep. Again, I can't play any clips, but whatever. Okay. What do we got here? Genesis picture about. This is actually one of my least favorites. I got a bootlegs. It's like probably the poorest quality. The audience recording is okay. I believe it's audience recording, not. But it's like the labels are misprinted so bad. So I had to go and put some Post-it notes on here just to say like what songs on what. I hate this box set. It's like the Phil Collins singles box set. I'll show you in a little bit. I got to move faster. I'm not crazy about it. I am crazy about this. This is from George. This is the We Can't Dance. I've showed this in another video and I've played clips of this, but I love this record. We Can't Dance, 4 discs, I believe, or maybe just 3. I think it's 3 discs. And then finally, also from George, live at the Theatre Royale, 1980. And this is, I believe, a Duke tour. Really good set list, really beautiful. I've written it out here just because the discs, the sides are wrong. They misprint them all the time. Okay, that's it for bootlegs. I can't go upstairs because I'm tied into my microphone now. But I forgot to bring down my record, a copy of Genesis, The Hottest Ticket, which is a cool audience recording from Abacab era. Okay, that's it for bootlegs. Speaking of bootlegs are kind of weird, I will show you 2 records here. Let's go through the Phil Collins stuff. But first, real quick, this is something from George I showed in a different video. This is Phil Collins kind of like compilation. It's actually, I believe it's a fake Atlantic Records promotion copy. And it has the weirdest set list. Droned, In the Air Tonight acoustic, which is from the Secret Policeman's Ball. Man on the Corner, As Is. The Roof is Leaking. Yeah, it's just a weird mix, right? Isn't that weird? And it's like, it's definitely a bootleg. It's funny. Anyway, that's from George. I just love weird stuff like that. I love it. This was a record I picked up. I almost didn't grab it. It's Little Kim featuring Phil Collins, In the Air Tonight. A couple of house mixes. I got it for $5, and it's cool. I love it. It's no big deal. It's really cool. Okay, so we got Testify, one of the new 2016 reissues. These are very hard to find now. Testify, Both Sides, and Dance into the Light. I don't think they've done reprints. So if you didn't get a copy in 2016, 2017, you're kind of out of luck. They're harder to find, and if you do, they're like $100. So I was grateful to have Testify on vinyl. This is the new Tarzan. This was just printed on green vinyl, and that's nice because this is the old Tarzan, and picture discs don't sound very good, and they're kind of gross. Hot Night in Paris. This is easy to find actually, and maybe it's getting a little bit harder. But this was reprinted with Serious Hits recently, and again, this Dance into the Light is really nice. I love having this. I love the feel of these reissues. That is. Hard to find. Both Sides. Both Sides, one of my favorite records, and I want to find the original on vinyl, and I also want to get another copy of Both Sides because it's. If I find it for cheap, I'm going to get it because I regret not buying 2 copies. Serious It's Live. This is the new version, and then this is the original version. Color difference. By the way, everybody says there's like a skipping on the first disc, and there's also skipping on the original pressing. It's weird, man. Something's weird with that record. I need to find out what. Here is Hangin' Long Enough, the 12-inch single. I have my 12-inch singles in order of when they were released. So Hangin' Long Enough, Something Happened on the Way to Heaven, 12-inch single. I think these are 45s. Really cool. They have remixes and stuff. But Seriously, this is the But Seriously remix from the 20, Take a Look at Me Now era. This is the original, which has less songs. This is Buster, which is great. Some of my favorite stuff from Buster would be Loco in Acapulco. I think probably one of Phil's best songs of all time. Whoa, I said it. This record here, this single, Groovy Kind of Love, has a instrumental of Big Noise, which is really cool. Really cool. I've done videos with some of these, by the way, on the channel. This one has the postcards. This is the Two Hearts single, 12-inch. Philip Bailey, great artwork for this, isn't it? Isn't that beautiful? Another artwork for Easy Lover. This one is more like the Chinese wall one. It's super weird, isn't that? Isn't that weird? No Jacket Required. We're going by era here. That's the new version of 2016 with the new face. I don't have any of the 45s. If you're looking for any of the Atlantic 75th anniversary, I don't have those yet. I want to get Hello, I Must Be Going. That's my goal, because I don't have a Hello, I Must Be Going in the 2016 version. I need to get that. Don't Lose My Number, Take Me Home. I think I'm getting close to finishing, but I'm not there yet. Finishing collecting 12 inches. Studio, another version of Studio, just a little bit different. One of my favorite albums in my collection. I'm going to do a review and play you some clips. This is a gift from George. It is a vinyl copy of No Ticket Required from the No Jacket Required tour. It is absolutely the coolest record. It's a double disc, coolest record ever. This is an unopened copy of No Jacket Required, except it's absolutely destroyed. Phil Collins Live at the Tower. I've played some clips and done a review of this. It's a new one. This is similar, the Hello, I Must Be Going era, but this is an original bootleg. And it's an audience recording. It's very poor quality, but I absolutely love having this in my collection just because it's cool. Like this one. This is an interview with Phil on the Hello, I Must Be Going tour. And it's all chewed here because cats like plastic. You Can't Hurry Love. Really cool record. This is I think it's a German or a Spanish, it's German sampler that involves all the best hits, all the best cuts from the first two records. If you can find this, get it. It's beautiful. Hello, I Must Be Going. It's a really good copy. It's in really good shape. But I'd love to get the 75th anniversary on here. I have a 12-inch of In the Air Tonight, but I left it up in my office. This is a rare. This is very rare. This is a gift from George. This is In the Air Tonight. Beautiful. Love that Futura font. Is it called Futura? This is very rare as well. A 12-inch of If Leaving Me Is Easy, and then there's the demos of In the Air Tonight, I Missed Again, and If Leaving Me Is Easy. That's really rare, hard to find. The excellent mint copy of Face Value, love that record. And then the 2016 reissue, love that. And this is just the paper from the singles box set. This was okay. I don't know. I mean, I hate these boxes. They're so hard to use. So yeah, that's my opinion. Okay, let's do Genesis. The new BBC box set. I'd never listened to this. I think it's so well put together. I just never listened to it. I don't know why. I think it's the sporadic. I wish it was random, or I wish it was a complete show. But the fact that it's like 3 songs from this album, 3 songs from this album, I just find myself never listening to it. I got this like Calling All Stations. I got a good deal on that. It was like an open box on Amazon. Weird, eh? I had to get this off of Discogs, the shorts. It's hard to find. I'd love to find the longs. It's impossible to find. This is a new issue from like in the past 10 years, We Can't Dance. And then my friend Sean sent me the original, and I have it up at my cottage. I don't have it here because I've taken some of my duplicates up there so that I have a copy of all my favorite records at the cottage as well, because I got a turntable up there. And but I do have an original copy of We Can't Dance, one of my most cherished items. He also sent me this, No Son of Mine, 12-inch single. Very rare, very beautiful. There's artwork inside. This is essential in anybody's collection. We know what we like. The London Symphony Orchestra playing the music of Genesis. Now, this was done in the late 80s, but it doesn't include any of the 80s songs or the late 80s songs. This includes stuff like Madman Moon and Entangled and Undertow and Horizon. Steve is on this record, actually. Beautiful. Just did a review of these, didn't I? Invisible Touch era bootlegs, brand new, LA Complete. They sound lovely. I've been listening to those a lot lately. Land of Confusion, that's in good shape, 12-inch. What's on the other side of that? Feeding the Fire. Sorry, I didn't show you the B-sides. Tonight, great artwork, eh? Isn't that cool artwork? Paperlate, and then another version of Tonight. I just picked this up. Invisible Touch 12-inch. So cool. Just the song and then an extended version, which sounds really good. Here is Into Deep single with Do the Neurotic. What great artwork is that? The artwork around Invisible Touch, it wasn't done by Bill Smith. It was done by Associated Images. And they did something different for every single, right? I mean, if you look at this doesn't look like the cover in any way. This is throwing it all away. The live version, this is Do the Neurotic. Like there's just really there's no consistency in the artwork with the singles. That's okay. I don't mind. They're all kind of unique. This is a new pressing of Invisible Touch. Like one of the, from, 2018. I have an original up at the cottage. I really cherish this. This is That's All with Firtha Fifth from the 1980s live. It's Phil singing Firtha Fifth. So that's a cool single. And I believe it's 45. Here is Legal Alien. That's a really cool one. I've showed you these in other videos, so I'm not stopping too long. Mama single. That's a great one. Not too hard to find. Shapes. I'd love to get the 45 of Shapes, the Atlantic, when that comes out, the Atlantic version. Another gift from George. This is the Reunion Rehearsal. Again, this is a new vinyl from Gimme Recordings. We've done reviews about these. And Nassau Coliseum, a gift from my friend Darren. Artwork doesn't line up with 1981, does it? But still, it's a good quality recording. I've played clips of that on the show. 3 Sides Live, the North American version, 3 Sides Live, the British version with the more live songs. Keep It Dark, which that also has Nanamanu. Abacab original this is the embossed version in blue and gray, and then orange and green. And then I have another copy up at the cottage. Duke, this is the new white Duke, and my original is up at the cottage. This is blue, Spot the Pigeon, and this is black, Spot the Pigeon. Don't like that EP, personally. And then there were 3. I'd like to get a new version of, and then there were 3. That's one of the originals. This is like a repressing of Seconds Out. My original pressings up at the cottage. I've showed you a video of this before, Japanese import of Wind and Wuthering with the Obi strip. Beautiful copy. I came across at a record store just this weekend. I came across a copy of Wind and Wuthering that it has this texture on it. It's where did it come from? I want to say it came from the UK, an import. And it has this beautiful texture to it. It was in mint condition, and it was $15, and I regret not buying it. Trick of the Tail Orange. That's the new, what was it called? Was it Domino that did those Start Your Ear Off Right series? A Trick of the Tail Outtakes, a very cool record from my friend George. See how half my collection comes from George and some of the viewers? That's amazing. Yeah, this is a really great, beautiful record of outtakes and B-sides and demos from... this is a copy of A Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. It's okay. Not the album. Obviously, the album's great, but this version, I'd like to get a proper version. The Atlantic version is just too expensive. Genesis, Selling England by the Pound. This is the clear vinyl. This is not the new acoustic sounds. This is just the clear record, and it's great. It's a good copy of Selling England by the Pound. I would also love to get this album on the new acoustic sounds series. Is that what it's called? The problem is what are you going to do, right? Nobody can afford all of those, so you got to be picky. This is Canadian, I believe. This is like a compilation that takes some stuff from Nursery Crime, I believe, and some stuff from Genesis Live. I believe it's mostly just Genesis Live. It's actually pretty rare, but I come across it here in Canada a bit. Genesis Live. Nothing very exciting over here. Foxtrot, Nursery Crime, just some of the usual suspects. Trespass. I recently came across, I believe it was RCA copy of this, or maybe it's a Japanese import. I'm not sure, for $100 or $60. I might get it this summer. Whatever. And then The Last Domino. I don't hate this. I listen to it quite a bit. The reason being is because I like random compilations, and that's definitely a random compilation. There you have it. Thank you for letting me do that. And it's funny that, let me show you some 7 inches real quick. it's funny that, you know, if you watch to the end of this video, then you're like me and you have nothing better to do than to think about Genesis and Phil Collins and Peter Gabriel. But the reason that I wanted to do this is because I do this on a weekly basis. I sit here on this stool in front of my record collection. I put a record on and I just go through my records and think about them and talk to myself about them. So I thought I would do that with you. 7-inch Invisible Touch, Man on the Corner, 7-inch with Submarine, In Too Deep with Do the Neurotic Phil Collins interview, which I've played you before. Follow You, Follow Me, a very different version of Follow You, Follow Me. Throwing It All Away, again, different artwork with Do the Neurotic. Also, a different artwork for Easy Lover. Again, that's 3 artworks, Separate Lives, Live with Hanging Long Enough, Living Forever with No Son of Mine, Throwing It All Away with Do the Neurotic. Again, Tonight with In the Glow of the Night, and One More Night with I Like the Way. I don't like that song at all. But anyway, those are my 7-inches. I don't care for 7-inches. I don't really want to collect them, but when I come across them for cheap, I grab them. Bless you. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button for exclusive videos, behind the scenes content, and to have your say on future topics before I film. Have a look at our Patreon page. Thanks for watching.